Hello, everyone. Today we want to talk about joy, and I'm here with my wonderful co-facilitator, psychotherapist, mindfulness teacher, ice bather, and heart-led man, and my beautiful friend, Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Sandra.
We thought that joy might be, in these times, a really good topic to talk about. And there are different kinds of joy, and we can access joy in different ways. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, also based on your own experience in your life?
Yeah, so thank you, Sandra. What I think I wanted to say was, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before, is sometimes there can be in spiritual communities, there can be a thing about going straight to joy without actually being authentic and really experiencing the true wholeness of ourselves. Okay. So for me, accessing joy is about accepting all of ourselves, and that includes everything that we want to keep hidden and everything we don't want to look at. You can call it our shadow side. And for me, when we're willing to really be truthful to ourselves and look in the mirror and work through our deepest self, the most challenging aspects of ourselves, often there's a byproduct that comes from that. There can be a byproduct. And that byproduct is joy, is playfulness, is wonder and curiosity, and just a beautiful experience of enjoyment of life. But I think it's fair to say it's better to go to a whole experience rather than say, right, I just want to go straight to joy and I just want to be happy and I just want to go on this journey and have a blissful journey. Because that can be a bypass. That can be I don't actually want to face up to the difficult things about myself. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that's what I wanted to start off by saying, Sandra.
Yeah. How can it look like for you with the tools that you have and that we also provide in our retreats? How can it look like to go first without bypassing, to go first to the deep, deep end of the pond and then emerge again? How can it look like?
How
How can
do we
we
get there?
imagine?
How do we get there, right? Is that
Yeah, yeah.
so we can expand our consciousness. We have an everyday consciousness, which is focused around thinking and, day-to-day life and doing mode, if you like. We do things a lot of the time. This is the way our brains evolved, that we're very good at doing things and thinking. But actually, that's a very small part of our consciousness. So underneath that, we have a much bigger self, and we can access that through things like breath work. We have this medicine inside our chests, and if we use that breath in a very conscious way. As you know, we're both breathwork facilitators, and we've been trained how to do this with ourselves and with others. So by using that breath, we can expand our consciousness and we can experience things that are not normally available to us. Now, some of those things are very difficult aspects of ourselves, which we've left behind when we were younger. We might have experienced trauma when we were children. And so there's parts of ourselves that we've had to shut away in the darkness. And this is the shadow, right? And if we go back to those places, we can start to reclaim like our whole self, all of ourself. Okay. And when we can do that, we can come into an expanded state of actually who we are and our authentic, our true selves. And as we can do that, we can start to experience everything else that got lost. You know, the playfulness, the joy, the natural, what I would say is our natural state of being. You know, this is how we were born. This is
Yeah,
this is our birthright.
yeah, yeah. And would you agree on that, that it doesn't take only one time or one journey to go there and to see our shadows, and then we think we are healed and that's it, but it
I
needs
would say
constant practice?
it's a lifetime practice, and
Yeah.
there are many, many different ways of doing it. I just mentioned breath work, but there are so many beautiful plant medicines which have been provided by nature for us. Often, you know, they've been forgotten or abused. But if we approach these beautiful medicines in a very sacred, reverential, mindful, you know, if we approach them and work with them with respect in a relationship, you know, these medicines can show us things that we need to know in a very similar way.
I love that you talk about relationship with a plant. I
Mhm.
love this very much. Could you give us an example with a plant that you work with quite often, and,
Absolutely.
and
So
it you
I have a daily happy practice, you know, which you introduced me to. Thank you very much, Sandra. So I've been uh, communing with the grandfather medicine hape, which is you know, has been worked with for thousands of years. I believe in the jungles of the Amazon, um, and I feel I have a relationship with this plant, and this plant will show me things, give me messages. It will tell me things that I need to know, and it will show me aspects of myself that I need to be aware of.
yeah. So you say that sometimes the happy practice is an easy one and a blissful one and a joyful one, and sometimes it can be also really confronting, right? Right,
Really,
like a relationship with a human being, right?
like a relationship with a teacher.
Yeah,
So I'm learning all the time from this relationship, and sometimes it's difficult. You know, I don't want to have that conversation today. I want to just switch off and do something easy. And so you mentioned practice, and I don't know if you mentioned the word consistency before, but for me, the word consistency is important. In any relationship, you have to put time and heart and yeah, I think consistency is really important in that relationship to learn as you go along, as you get to know. It's like a relationship with a person. It is a relationship. It's a relationship with an entity, a person, right? And that relationship deepens. And yeah,
so we need to put in time and consistency and effort to look deeper inside, to be able to access joy, right?
yeah. And I think I said at the beginning that the joy is a beautiful. It's almost like a byproduct. It's not something we can say, right, I want to experience joy today. I really need to have some joy. We just have to be open. I feel like I need to be open with what is here right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be really difficult. And if I push that away, it's like it becomes stronger. I think Carl Jung said, what we resist persists. Okay. So if we resist something, it gets stronger and bigger. But if we're open to it and we can accept it and say, okay, this is here, and this is part of me. This is who I am, and I want to accept myself. I want to love myself. Then an expansion can come from that, and there can be a joyfulness in that. This is, you know, if I surrender and I trust to whatever's here, nothing can hurt me. which is freedom, right?
Exactly.
We're in the freedom tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to expand on other practices that you have consistently that take you to a deeper space of joy?
Yeah.
Not the joy that we chase in our daily stressful life, and we just wanna get out of our lives, but really the access to the deeper joy and the lasting joy.
Yeah. I mean, I have a movement practice, so I dance. You know, I practice 5 rhythms dancing, which is also about, for me, it's really listening to what my body wants to do in the moment, how it wants to move, what it wants to show me. Is we talked about teachers. To me, our body is a teacher as well. Our body's teaching us every day what we need to know right in this moment. If we can listen with our intuition, you know, very deeply in the bottom of our
Mm.
stomach, we have a brain, you know, down there. If we can really tune into that and listen to that, our body will tell us what we need to know, how we need to move, what we need to feel. So yeah, and through that, challenging emotions can come up through dance, right? You know, I can feel my grief, my sadness. If I can move through that, if I can just let that move through me, and I can experience that, often, not always, but often, I can really start to feel just a freedom and a joy, you know, a connection to myself and to others, other human beings, other creatures, the world around me. I guess that joy is that experience of being connected to, you know, other people, and
Oh, I love that. Yeah, to other people, to other spirits, to plants, to
yeah,
animals,
to the world, to the universe, to
yeah, to this amazing multiverse we live in, right?
yeah,
With so many possibilities.
there's so many possibilities.
Yeah. And then there is also the ice bathing, I think, right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that as a way of accessing joy, but often I, I do feel joyful when I've because what the ice bath does is it's another way for me to connect to myself. You know, if I'm feeling confused or disconnected, or oh, I don't know what's happening right now, I'm really, if I get into a really cold temperature just for a very short space of time, it's like I'm coming straight back to my body. I can feel every single cell in my body is lighting up just for a few moments, and there's a clarity that comes into my mind and into my spirit. And often it's like a aha, this is what's happening, this is what I'm feeling, and this is how I'm connected to myself. And yeah.
Mm. How, for you, how does it feel differently, the joy, the deep joy through your practices, and the joy that you maybe tried to access back in the days through going out and drinking in a bar?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah, as you know, I was an alcoholic for many years. That was my way of surviving in the world, and there was a kind of feeling of it. I guess I would describe it as like a superficial happiness, a superficial joy. It wasn't an embodied. It wasn't an embodied. You know, it was like the best way of describing it is for me is almost like a facsimile. It's not like a real heartfelt, body felt um, sensation in my body. It was more like a copy. You know, it was like a black and white, not really a color, not like a full color, full embodied version of. Yeah, I don't think I really knew what joy was in those days. Um, Yeah. Thank you, Sandra, for asking that.
Yeah. So what I feel you are talking about is about truthfulness and authenticity, and also the willingness to go to places where normally we don't want to go because they feel uncomfortable in the moment, but they lead us to something else, right?
Leads us often to something very, very beautiful. And I think I talked about this earlier, Sandra. It feels to me like this is our natural state of being as human beings, is to be peaceful, is to be joyful, is to be curious. And if we think of the nervous system, you know, the vagal, we have this part of our nervous system which runs from our brain down to our heart, and then it runs, I think it runs down the back of our body down to our gut as well. And this is our vagal nervous system. This is, you know, when we're curious, when we're playful, when we just want to play, we want to look other people in the eyes and smile and connect. This is our natural state of being. Okay.
And how does the dorsal system feel?
So the dorsal is a shutdown. A shutdown. This is like when an animal plays dead and it just wants to protect itself, like a tortoise. You know, when the tortoise just goes back into its shell and it hides in its shell. And these are protective mechanisms that we have when we were children to protect us from very, very difficult experiences. And we get stuck in these states. So dorsal's the shutdown.
Mm. Yeah, and I think many of us, me included, know this state very
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So actually, to get to a more joyful and peaceful life that can ripple out into our communities, we need to open up and be willing to go to places that feel dark maybe and feel uncomfortable, and maybe we need also someone who holds us in that in these processes, right?
Yeah. And I feel like maybe you're leading on to the work that we do, you know, when we run retreat spaces and we hold spaces for these brave souls who come and sit with us and explore what's happening for them. And yeah,
And why should we do that work? Why?
um, I think we should do that work if we're brave enough to be everything that we can be, Sandra, you know?
So to go from black and white to all the colors.
The color, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel also what you touched on before is normalizing the uncomfortableness and normalizing the grief and the anger and the sadness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because these are normal states of being. These are part of what it is to be a human being, to experience these emotions, to, you know, often we've been told, we've had these messages that that's not okay. This, you have to hide that away. That's not acceptable. You know, and we've internalized these messages in our mind. And so we often tell ourselves that this is not acceptable. This is not possible. But if we can move through that, if we can be brave, if we can be open to possibility, you know, there's so much wonderful possibility, beauty, and expansion that's possible for us as human beings.
So actually, it is going from functioning in the day-to-day life to really living.
I would use the word surviving to thriving.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah. Any final words?
Um, no, I don't think I have any final words, Son. I just thank you for your questions, which have opened this topic out. It's, you know, beautiful questions, joyful questions.
Yeah. And we could talk about it for much, much longer, of course. But I thank you for this brief conversation about joy that lightened up my evening today. And it's always beautiful to sit with you and to talk about everything.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for.
your joyful presence.
See you very soon. And thank you for listening, everyone. And we will come back very soon with some new topics.
Thank you.
Bye.